This video is a timeless blueprint of how to become a hacker. By hacking, of course, I do not mean any sort of illegal activity or breaking into other people's computers. Neither do I mean a sort of marketing hacking, whereby people pose like hackers on social media to get some profits. Hacking is the art and a craft of gaining power over technological systems. By understanding the system very deeply and learning its inner workings better than its own designer, we're able to bypass any restrictions imposed by that system on us, as well as to potentially introduce new functionality. Hacking also, especially at the more advanced levels, it is an art more than it is a craft. It is certainly extremely advanced at those levels that are most profitable and most fun. So hacking is really fun and really profitable activity if you are willing to do what it takes to get into it and to walk the path. So this video is exactly about that. The advice that I'm giving here in this video isn't entirely based on personal experience. I learned hacking at the age of 15. I learned reverse engineering and assembly coding, as well as C++. And I was cracking programs to remove software protections. I taught it all myself, and I do realize that most viewers of this video cannot relate to that. However, because this has happened quite a long time ago for me, I had the privilege, because I had so much time, I had the privilege to really deeply internalize my own strategies, my own successes, as well as observing other people, how they learn and get into this industry and become hackers. Eventually, by combining these two ways of learning, I was able to distill the core, the essence of what it means to be a hacker, to become a hacker, what it takes to get into it at the most universal level. Before we can get into it, I have to debunk some myths about hacking first. The first myth is that you have to start early. I already started talking about this. It is not true. While it is very beneficial, and the ability to invest your craft, your work, your mind into something for years and decades cannot be replaced by anything. Not by IQ, not by other advantages, not by the help that you may be receiving, not by other circumstances around it. It is absolutely invaluable. And this kind of experience allows people to solve problems that no other approach can be used for. That being said, starting early isn't necessary for having fun and making profit with hacking, which I believe is the purpose of anyone who would like to watch this video. So I know a lot of hackers that have made some great achievements for themselves in the industry while they didn't start early. Some of them even started it as a second career, so this is absolutely feasible. Another myth is that you have to finish before age 30 as a hacker. This is extremely untrue, even malicious. This myth comes from, I think, the common misconception about what hacking is, which is fueled by media selling us this image of a teenage hacker who does it just for fun, and then they're kind of supposed to move to better careers. This is very untrue. So there are two sides of reality behind this myth. The first side, one side, is that technology systems have become so complex. There are so many layers in them, and the technologies themselves are also diversifying more, so that nowadays, in order to achieve any meaningful competitive advantage, or just being a hacker of any sort of good stance, you need to learn a lot, and you need to learn all the time, keep progressing with it. Because of all that complexity, it is simply not possible to finish learning something enough to make a good income, for example, in 1 year. And then after you have invested all the time, you realize that you still continue to use it for your own career. So why even drop it? Another side of it is that hacking is actually extremely profitable. I mean, legally. There are many opportunities in this industry. For example, software vendors are offering bug bounty programs and they pay you for vulnerabilities found, which is one of my own sources of income, which I absolutely love because it gives so much freedom and you can work anywhere at your own pace, in your own place, and you can get paid thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for your work for one product, which can translate in quite a good income. Because of that, many people are realizing that hacking isn't just a kind of something to have fun as a child, but it's actually a great career, maybe one of the best careers in the world. And not only people are staying after 30 in this industry, but many people are actually just coming into this industry as a second career after they are already well into their life. And this is normal. And I mean that a lot of great hackers that I know are actually well into their 30s, if we're talking about specific examples to counteract that myth. And those people, they are not like talking old school hackers that just pose on security conferences for honor or something. These are the people who are actually participate in top elite competitions in my industry. These are the people who find vulnerabilities and make their money in the bug bounty industry. These are basically best of the best hackers that I know. That was the second myth. And myth number 3 is that hacking is a team sport. There is a kind of intuition in all of us, which is based on millennia of human experience that taught us that teaming up to hunt a mammoth always works. And teaming up to grab some resources works better than trying to do it single-handedly in most cases. This works statistically reliably. It is not some sort of universal truth, but it works statistically to a large enough extent that we have developed intuition about this. So people naturally try to team up when they see some sort of big profit that they want to take. But the thing that I really love about hacking industry is that it is not only theoretically possible to compete with teams as a solo player, whatever your profit advantage goals may be, it is actually quite realistic and it works. There are examples when solo hackers outperform entire teams. This is totally normal in my industry. This is because of how hacking works, and this is because of the nature of hacking is on this fringe of knowledge and capability, where teaming up and throwing more human resources does not necessarily help you to achieve better results or more results. Rather, taking one human brain and using it properly works oftentimes better to achieve the best results. This is amazing, and for me it is probably the main thing that I really like about hacking industry is art, and one of the main things why I keep working in it. So yeah, you don't have to start early, you don't have to finish early or finish before 30 or whatever else number whatsoever. And also you don't have to team up. Meanwhile, you can make good money and be absolutely free and have a lot of fun as well. This is how hacking works. Now, with myths out of my way, let's move on to the actual blueprint. There's a few rules. Rule number 1 is commitment. Commitment is very important because without commitment, you will convince yourself to quit. There is multiple points of hardness in hacking. at the level where it becomes fun, really fun and profitable. One such point that I already explained is the complexity of the systems. Another point is that hacking is an adversarial game, which means that you will have competition. I don't mean kind of dirty competition based on hate. No, not in that sense, but rather it's a healthy competition in the sense of sport. And the entire game of hacking is based on it. Consider, for instance, that you are hunting zero-day bugs in some software. In this situation, the software developer is your competitor, your adversary, basically. And they perceive you as an adversary as well. Their aim is to ramp up their defenses continuously, to make it harder to attack the system and find the vulnerability. On the other hand, your purpose, your mission is to ramp up your offenses, your skills, techniques, whatever else you need in order to still be able to find the next vulnerability. This is how it works, and this entire cat and mouse game progresses really quickly so that you keep learning, you keep advancing, and so does your adversary. Because of that, of course, it's one of those points that make hacking challenging. Another thing that makes hacking challenging is that it is based entirely on the essence of hacking when it comes to any sort of meaningful achievements is challenges. And those are hard challenges, which means that you will fail a lot. You will get a failure rate which you are not used to if you are just studying in some university and working a normal job. The kind of failure rate that you get in hacking isn't really acceptable to any normal human being. On the other hand, you will get a lot of uncertainty. And human mind hates uncertainty, and it hates failure. You will absolutely be deterred by it. And what happens when human mind faces this kind of internal challenges, when it sees all those failures, of course, it doesn't like to fail, it doesn't like uncertainty, it doesn't like hardness in most situations. Even if you have trained yourself with your dopamine balance to want to attack hard challenges, but still, you will still have this uncertainty all the time and the high failure rate all the time. You will face it all the time. And your mind, what happens next is your mind will start playing games on you. The goal is to deter you and make you quit. You will find yourself procrastinating, as well as thinking thoughts like, maybe it's just not for me, maybe I'm just not smart enough, maybe it's just, not my thing. This is all a lie. This is all your mind playing games with you with the purpose of throwing you off this game. Of course, there can be multiple ways of how to deal with this and still keep learning and still keep advancing and moving forward in your art. Commitment is one of them, and I think it is the most universal approach how to solve this. But in general, how you solve it is this kind of resistance, internal resistance, and your mind playing games on you is to power through it one way or another. So commitment is the way to do it. You power through your own mind's resistance with commitment. It is absolutely universal and it works in all the situations. Rule number 2, practice comes first. Hacking is practical, and there are 2 common mistakes that I see beginners making when they get into hacking and start learning. One mistake is paying too much attention to theoretical learning. Just one more book, just one more blog, take one more course, attend some conferences, and consuming all that information, they never really get into practicalities. In this way, you can never become a hacker, you can never learn hacking, because hacking is practical. It's all about having your hands on the keyboard and doing something on the computer. On the other hand, there is another mistake when people completely disregard any theoretical knowledge and just kind of dumb banging into whatever practical challenge is at hand without understanding what you're doing. and what kind of information do you need. This is also a mistake. Either of these mistakes can only get you so far. The right way, of course, is to find some sort of balance between theory and practice. I would say that practice will always come first, because hacking is practical at the core of it. You cannot theoretically hack anything. But the kind of balance you have to invent for yourself. And one of the ways how to create that balance is rule number 3: pick a challenge, practical challenge, and start solving it. And as you solve it, collect necessary information as you go. You try to, for example, you can pick some poundables on the internet, or you can decide to attack a real software. Once you have picked a challenge and committed to solving it, you sooner or later you'll stumble into a barrier in not knowing how to do next. So you go back to the theory and read some books, read some blogs, investigate how to solve it, come back to the practice and move a little bit further. As soon as you stumble again, go back to theory, learn again, collect the information, and so on. With this back and forth, eventually you will be able to solve a challenge. And once you get out of the challenge, you discover that, wow, you have learned so much. I know this and I know that. And next time when you see a similar challenge, you already know exactly how to solve it. Rule number 4, do not overthink which kind of challenge you want to take. Overthinking is one of the weapons that your mind will try to use against you while it's trying to throw you off this game, so don't allow it to do that. You will commonly think, if you, as soon as you notice yourself thinking for a long time about what exactly you want to hack, what exactly your next goal should be, just stop it and take whatever feels exciting or whatever comes around. Just basically keep yourself in practice all the time. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it. It is not the challenge. So picking the challenge really is not that important. Of course, you will want to have some sort of a reasonable approach to making this decision. You may use your intuition more on the emotional side, what triggers you, what makes you feel excited, or something like that. Or you could invent some sort of logical reason for why you should pick this challenge and not another one. But it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't really matter. All you need to do is keep yourself rooted in practice and always keep this consistent feedback loop from what you're doing in practice versus what you're learning and versus what you actually, where you want to go. In this way, your path may be a little bit winging, but it is important to still complete your challenges. So don't just throw it away because you decided to look at something else. But honestly, in my experience, intuition would work better in this scenario for picking challenges, because especially if you're just getting started, you don't really know how all those systems works. And trust me, you don't really know how all these bug bounty programs work. When I started doing bug bounties, it took me about a year to figure out how does it work, what kind of skills do I need to apply, and how much time do I need to put into it, and what would be my expectations. It's absolutely not the same as it's shown to you on the face value, which is the reason, because you have to assume that you do not have all the information that you need to make a reasonable choice as a beginner. So intuition works somewhat best in this scenario. Somehow your intuition always works what system is compatible with you, meaning that a compatible system will help you to stick to the problem of learning it and attacking it, and it will save your energy. It will basically work better for you than an incompatible system. And by choosing a compatible system, by using your intuition, you can actually choose a compatible system without even having kind of intellectual information or knowledge about it. This is that was my point number 5, is to follow your intuitive gut feeling or excitement about what you want to do next. And my point number 6 is to keep pushing forward at all times. One aspect of it is that you can't really stop learning or developing your skills in hacking. As I said, it is being an adversarial game. You will have to ramp up your skills all the time. It is unavoidable. Another aspect of it is ramping up your goals as well. Once you have achieved a certain level, you have to move forward. Yet another aspect of it is the resistance that your mind puts up in front of you. As I said previously, when it sees all of that complexities and competition, and your failure rate will be crazy, especially at first, or if you're attacking specifically complex targets, you will fail a lot. So this is something that you have to push through. Because of all these aspects, you have to set yourself up on a kind of steady pushing forward approach to move through and advance in this industry. And my final advice to you is that there is no complacency in the art of hacking. It is not possible to learn once and for all and to sit on your laurels if you want to be a good hacker and to keep it as your career and be happy about it. So technology is moving fast, so never stop learning, keep pushing forward, and you will be just fine.